say that Clint Eastwood gets in character through his shoes. He picks the right shoes for the right character, and that's where he starts. Maybe I should have taken that into consideration when I was in theater. During a show that was Hunchback of Notre Dame, I was supposed to come on stage and angrily beat up the lead character with a large group. I went to give her a fake kick. Off flies my jazz shoe into the front row of the audience, landing in the lap of a 10-year-old boy who promptly hands me back my shoe, and I finished the show. Moral of this story, spray adhesive on the bottom of your shoes, always. So, embarrassment happens to the best of us. But embarrassment coupled with injury, that's never a good day. When I was about 12 years old, I was in Shrek the Musical, and one of my castmates left a prop on the stage. It was a rather large hardcover book, very heavy. And I had to go across the stage running in fear from another character. So I thought, hey, I'll just kick this book off stage and get it out of everybody's way so nobody trips on it. I went to kick the book stayed put. I ended up on the stage on my butt. My mom always said not to touch other people's props. I really should have listened.
When I was 17, I got arrested for vandalism. I spray painted the underside of a bridge. There was other graffiti art down there, and I thought, why not? I had just finished most of it and turned around to take a break. I came face to face with a cop. Someone had seen me looking suspicious and called them. I was brought to court and fined upwards of $2,000. I just finished paying it off before attending Algonquin. When I was born, I was 2 months premature, weighing in at 3 pounds, 11 ounces, about the size of a loaf of bread. My mother had been drinking for the majority of the pregnancy, so I ended up with FAS, fetal alcohol syndrome. On top of that, I had 3 holes in my heart due to being premature. My organs weren't fully developed. I had to be incubated, and my mother thought I wasn't going to make it. It wasn't long before the holes filled themselves in, without surgery. Now, 20 years later, and not a mark.
What are you scared of me?
What'd you say?
When I was 8 years old, me and my siblings would always fight nonstop. One day, we were horsing around the house, and we hear a knock on the door. It was a police officer. I remember my siblings were frozen to the ground. They couldn't move. My mom came downstairs asking what was happening. The police officer was saying that they had a call from this address. My mom's like, no, we're good. Nothing happening. No harm, no foul. Until this day, no one knows I'm the one that actually called the police. I was 6 years old, I would always see my grandma every weekend. But this time, it was different. My aunt was picking me up. I remember it raining like crazy. We were going down the steep hill on the way to grandma's house, and the light turned red. My aunt was trying to stop the car, but all I remember is the car getting closer and closer to their car. I remember the smell of burning tires and me getting dragged across the room like someone's picked me up and throwing me across. A second later, there's a million pieces on the ground, everywhere. My aunt got up and called a tow truck. Till this day, I'm still scared of car crashes.
Oh yeah, I look great. Perfect. Oh, let's go to school. Oh, hey, Amy. Did you know I have a brother?
No, I don't think you told me.
Oh, this is how he looks like.
Oh, he's pretty cute.
When I was in middle school, I used to dress up like a guy. I had long hair at the time, so all I had to do was put my hair in a ponytail and tuck it under a hat to make it look like I had short hair. I used to take pictures of myself and show them to my friends. I would tell them that it was my secret twin brother and he was homeschooled. It got to the point where one of them developed a crush on him. I didn't think much of it since I was doing stuff like this all the time. It got to the point where she would start begging to come to my place. I had to tell her that my twin brother was just me dressed up. She was definitely devastated after that. We sort of just treated it as water under the bridge.
Oh, nice. Okay, let's go for school.
Oh, your eye's blue.
Oh yeah, I have heterochromia.
Is it real?
Of course it's real.
When I was in middle school, I had a bit of an obsessive personality. I'd wear a blue contact lens in my left eye. I did this because recently a new popular video game called Undertale just released, and I was a big fan of a character who had a blue eye. I did this for around a month, and when people would ask, I would tell them I had heterochromia. I would wear green contact lenses to cover it up. Some people believed me, some of them didn't, though I didn't really care. To say that I was obsessed with the Sans character would be a bit of an understatement, but it's an awkward phase I'm glad I grew out of.
Mom, I told you we'll be fine. We're 18 and 19, we're adults. What's the worst that can happen? We get lost in the train station? Come on, we're smarter than that. Oh my god, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We're gonna be stuck here for like forever. This is so not what I meant when I said I wanted to move to Toronto. When I was 18, my friend and I decided to go up to Toronto to go visit a college for an open house. Being 18 and 19 at the time, we decided we were old enough to go by ourselves. So my mother dropped us off at the train station in the morning and we took the train up. It was an uneventful trip up. It was pretty simple. And we got to the college with some minor difficulties. And we ended up having a nice day there. Learned a lot of stuff. It was quite interesting. And then we noticed the time. We had 45 minutes before our train would leave. So we turned and we tried to get out of there as quickly as we could. We made it back to the train station with about 5 minutes to spare, but then we got turned around and ended up missing our train. At this point, I start freaking out. I mean, what were we gonna do? Where would we live? We were two kids from a small town in the middle of nowhere. How on earth were we gonna survive a big city like Toronto? It was a terrifying moment for me. My friend, on the other hand, was a lot smarter than I was, and he decided to go and ask someone for some help. So we ended up catching a train that was only about 30 minutes later, free of charge, too. And when we got back, my mother was not happy. Ended up lecturing us the entire hour it took us to get back home. Oh my god, I cannot believe we just did all that. I mean, it's crazy, right? Who'd have ever thought that we'd be here on our 8th grade field trip? Anyways, let's go grab some dinner before it gets too late. Come on. When I was in elementary school, this small thing in Napanee, we always had these big end of the year field trips. My 8th grade, we ended up going to Canada's Wonderland. And then we stopped at the mall for dinner. So my friend and I had broken off, and we were going over to wait for our food, and this guy came over and started talking to us. He was probably somewhere between 20 and 25 years old, but he was being really nice, so we didn't think much of it. He was asking us a bunch of questions, mainly focused on me. He asked me if I had a number, which I didn't, being 13 at the time. He asked what we were doing there exactly, and he asked if we had wanted to go over and sit with him and his friends. We said no, because we had to go back and hang out with our class, but I was honestly kind of elated about this. I wasn't exactly the most well-liked person at my school, and so him giving me this attention felt really nice. It wasn't really until later that we both kind of realized that he was probably flirting, which is deeply unsettling, being as young as I was at the time. But there's still a piece of me that's that small little 8th grader who had no friends and was just basking in the attention from someone who genuinely seemed interested.
So my family decides to take me on a ski trip whether I like it or not. The first hill we went on was a green hill. I wanted to go on the blue hill, but not only did my family force me onto the trip against my will, they also didn't want me going on a blue hill, which isn't even that hard. So I'm really bored, way ahead of my family, and I see a little path on the side. It looks like a separate path and it's much steeper, so I say, hey, why not try it out? I found out later on that it wasn't actually a path at all. It was just a part I wasn't supposed to go to, and the tape supposed to separate me wasn't there. It must have flown off or something. I must have fallen for what felt like 3 seconds before I luckily land on a patch of thick snow, surrounded by what I could have landed on, which was trees and rocks. I don't tell my family about what actually happened. I just told them that I had a small little tumble, and I still haven't told them that. I don't plan on telling them. After a really stressful game of dodgeball where everybody was breaking the rules, there was quite some beef between one student and an entire group of friends. The entire group of friends were constantly picking on him, making fun of his weight and ethnicity, which, it isn't right. Nobody else was stepping up, so I felt obliged that I had to, which I think is a pretty prideful moment. I told them, okay, guys, seriously, he gets it. They completely dismissed me and continued to make fun of him, so I had to speak again a little louder. Okay, guys, seriously, you get that this is straight on bullying, right? They chuckled and tried poking fun at me. So I would have stopped normally, but that would have been really weird to just tell them to stop and then not say anything afterwards when they keep going. Okay, this is straight up bullying, right? If you were just on your own, you would know that what you're doing is completely wrong. But because you and your friends are doing it, suddenly it's okay. You're just joking around, right? But it's not. You just cut it out. They continued to laugh and chuckle, but they didn't poke fun at it anymore. So they acted like it didn't get to them, but I think it kind of did.
me and my brother were younger, we used to fight a lot. So when I was around 3 years old, he decided that he wanted to blow my head up. And he figured the best way to do that is with a bike pump. So what does he do? He grabs the pump and he puts it in my ear. And then he starts pumping. After 3 or 4 pumps, I start screaming and crying. My mom walks in and asks what's going on, and my brother says that I wanted to blow my head up. Obviously I didn't, and she didn't believe him because that makes no sense. And he finally admitted to what he had done. She had to take me to the hospital, and I had hearing tests done. Turns out he blew up my eardrum, and I am now deaf in that ear.
I bet that I could beat you home. Last one home's a rotten egg.
What happened? Mommy! My brother used to play soccer on the weekends, and me and my mom used to bike up to watch the games. One weekend, I decided that I wanted to race them home, my dad and my brother in the van, and my mom and me on the bikes. So we got a head start, and I'm biking as fast as I can. I look behind my shoulder to see if I can see them in the distance, and they're not there. And as I turn around, I hit face first into a pole, and I'm knocked to the ground. The next thing I know, I wake up, there's an ambulance next to me, my mom's trying to explain what happened, my dad's confused, my brother's laughing, and I'm still crying because I'm in so much pain. Eventually, my mom convinces the ambulance that I'm okay and that she can walk me to the hospital. So that's what we do, and there's a few tests done. I didn't break anything, which is great, but I do have nerve damage in the left side of my face and no longer feel that side of my face. When I got home that night, my brother said, "I win."
Could have been my happy ever after, living like we're in a fairy tale. But you and me were more like a disaster. I should have known. Intoxicated by your reputation, I can see the mischief in your eyes. Trusted you despite my reservations. Now I'm alone. I was so rich with all this love. You wanted it, and I was so dumb.
The closer you get to being an adult, the less you seem to know. Depending on what school someone goes to, you don't exactly get to learn how to do taxes, buy a house, maintain a vehicle. In my case, I'm extremely bad and unlucky with cars. I neglect my car maintenance when I shouldn't because I don't exactly know how to take care of them. For instance, my brakes have been grinding together for a while, and unfortunately, I didn't think anything of it. I remember the night as clear as day. My brakes broke on the highway, and I could no longer stop my car. I slowly moved over to the side of the road, and my heart was racing. I think God was on my side that night, because if I wasn't stuck in traffic, and if I really was going full speed, there is no way I would be able to stop my car. Traffic saved my life that day.
If this night is not forever, at least we are together. I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. Anywhere, whenever, apart but still together. I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone.
Before the pandemic, I used to work as a receptionist at a senior's home. There wasn't much to do, but it was a lovely job. I would make friends with some of the residents, and it wasn't all bad. As soon as the pandemic started, I would have to get tested twice a week before I was able to start my shift. And one day, without even knowing and with no symptoms, I tested positive. Being asymptomatic could be a graceful thing, but it's also risky because you could be a carrier and not even know about it. It was hard to quarantine in a house full of 7 people. I couldn't leave my room, I couldn't see my daughter, and my family would have to take safety precautions and wear a mask when getting food or anything else that I needed. Even though many people don't want to believe it, it's true and it happens. And it's so frustrating because there's not much you can do besides wait. It's dreadful. Thankfully, I was only sick for 2.5 weeks, and after that experience, I quit my job there and became a hostess at a restaurant.